My name is Krista Leonard Corzo. I'm a lead research scientist at VivoSense, and my role particularly focuses on working with different patient populations and engaging with different patient populations to understand what matters most so that we can develop, validate, and deploy fit-for-purpose measures that really target some of these outcomes that matter most to different patients. Jen, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, Jen Blankenship. Nice to meet you all. Happy to be here. I'm a senior research scientist at VivoSense working on developing digital measures that matter to patients across several different therapeutic areas focused in physical functioning and sleep. So let's kick it off.
We are joined by Natalie Brown, and we are very excited to hear her perspectives on some of her preferences or thoughts and beliefs around receiving individual study results following participation in clinical trials. And so, Natalie, if you want to go ahead and take a moment, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe why you decided to join our video panel today.
Thanks so much, Krista. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Brown, and I am located in Atlanta, Georgia. I decided to participate in this study for numerous reasons, but the main reason is because I do have stage 4 lung cancer, and health is extremely important to me as far as clinical trials, research, and providing information back to us in these particular studies. So definitely happy to be here.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. And again, happy to hear your perspective. So I think let's go ahead and just jump into a couple of questions. In general, what has your experience been with clinical trials, followed by any experiences with receiving any sort of data?
Yes, so I have been in a few clinical trials, and let me just say, I think clinical trials are amazing. Not only throughout the trial journey has the study kept me up to date on what's going on, but I ask a lot of questions during trials. But the questions that I'm not asking because I don't know, the study is actually providing me with answers. So say, for instance, okay, so perfect example, one of the trials I got extremely sick. And it seems to be that I was the only person that got sick out of hundreds of people that are actually on the trial. And so the people that were conducting the study let me know and said, hey, out of your age range, you're the only person that actually got sick. But we do have some people that may have experienced headaches, dizziness, fatigue. They experience this particular side effects for 20 days where you may experience them for 30 days. So they provided me with a lot of stats that helped me to figure out, are these side effects just a mental thing, or is it the medication that's actually kind of interfering with my body? So a lot of that was actually kind of making me question myself. Also, it was very important when they provided me with information, because when they told me that I was the only one that was sick out of one of the studies, it pushed me harder to say, hey, okay, since I'm the only one that's getting sick, let me try to figure this out and try to see if I can actually get well. So them providing me this data actually motivated me. I know it's probably like a weird thing that I'm the only one that was sick but was getting motivated, but it actually motivated me to try to stay on the study because I was the only one, I was the oddball in the study. But knowing info, stats, data, it tried to help. Well, I tried to stay on as long as I can, just for more so motivational purposes. Like, I can do this
Sure.
if everybody else is doing this. So it
Sure.
really helped.
Do you think that there should be a standard expectation of researchers to share certain types of data back, or what the etiquette, I guess, around that might be from your perspective?
So I do think it's funny you say that, because with the other trial, I asked questions and I wasn't able to get the answers because they said that they were not allowed to share. So I felt some type of way about that because I wanted to know, I literally wanted to know everything. Like, out of the 50 people, this is an example, out of the 50 people that's on the trial, what is the percentage of progression that was had while I was on the study? And I couldn't get an answer. So I think that helping to share feedback and stats and everything is important, because sometimes it will make a person not want to start another clinical trial if they feel like people are holding back or withholding information. Because I don't know if people don't realize or understand, but sharing information helps you to feel more comfortable in a study or a trial. If I know, if I have some numbers behind a study, it will help me say, okay, let me go into this clinical trial. Because to be honest, I was afraid of clinical trials in the beginning, but the more information that they share with me, the more comfortable I start to become and want to start another one. So I think it's extremely important, because it will decide how a person feels possibly moving forward to another trial.
Have you ever shared that data that you've received from trials back or with others, say your regular clinical care providers or family members?
Yeah, definitely. Not so much my other medical team, but
Yeah.
definitely my family or my friends, or even like the people that it's in my support groups. I share the information with them. The majority of them have never been in the clinical trial. So once I go back and say, hey, let me tell you about XYZ, they're like all ears and say, oh, well, hey, my doctor told me about a trial, but I shut it down. Maybe now I might entertain it. So I feel like me talking to family and friends, I'm gonna say specifically support group, because most of those people actually have direct experience in, with some type of cancer. It helps a lot, because they are interested. It's like I'm going back and educating them on numbers or things that I've heard, and now they are interested. Or if they were not interested before, now they're like, okay, well, let me just go talk to my doctor and see if they, what they think about it. So it's very helpful.
Do you feel that results should be returned to caretakers separately? Do you feel that that sort of, it's you should receive the results and feel like you can share it with whomever? Or do you think that they should receive their own set of results and it could be tailored more to their understanding?
So I think that all results should go to the patient first. And then I feel like the patient should have the option to decide whether or not they want to share with whomever, whether it's a caregiver, caretaker, friend, family member, because I feel like no matter what the results or the data say, I feel like that's kind of like I don't want to say HIPAA to the patient, but kind of like this is between the patient first, and then the patient gets to decide. So I think, yeah, that is a very good question. I think that it should definitely go to the patients first, and then the patient should ultimately decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
Is there maybe a minimum amount of information that you would expect from a trial to provide back to you?
It's funny you say that, because I kind of feel like if you're a part of a study, I really feel like in the study you should just get like, they should word vomit you or data vomit you with information, then you just, have to absorb it the best way you can. But obviously that is not going to happen. But I do feel like at minimum, yes, there should be some type of results that they should provide to you, just like basic results. So when I say basic, I mean things like, if I start a study and I say, hey, how many people are in the study? And you say, okay, it's 100. And then I said, okay, well, out of this 100, who's receiving the same dose that I'm going to receive, and how long have they been on it? So kind of like the bare minimum of information, but not like an overload of information should be kind of shared with you in the beginning. But I mean, it would be nice if they would share everything, but that doesn't happen.
Is there sort of, when you receive data or results, would you prefer that it also includes some sort of interpretation from the study team, or would you, it'd be okay in an instance where it's just, yep, here's where you stand, this is it? Or would you prefer, whether that's written interpretation or someone to walk through the data or the results with you when you receive them? Sort of, what would be your ideal scenario there?
I feel like I would love for someone to actually explain it to me, but I feel like if people took time to explain the results all the time, then they might cut back on how often they share the results. So it's kind of going to be a mixed answer. I would love for somebody to explain, but or maybe, oh, I just thought of something. Maybe they can have like training sessions where they can like they can tell you, hey, if we send you study results, this is typically what they mean, or kind of just like do like a high level overview so people can maybe understand kind of what the results mean, so that someone wouldn't have to literally call you every time or have a Zoom meeting with you every time to go over results. I think that might be something that might be, you know, kind of neat. Or once you get study results back, if you have zero clue what's going on, have someone to explain them to you that first time, and then hopefully kind of guide you to say, hey, this is what they typically look like. If you have any additional questions, then you call me. But no, don't have someone to call every time, because then they might get tired of calling you to share the study results.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Well, we really just have one last question, and that's if you have any other final thoughts on receiving any type of results or data, just any final thoughts on your general preferences, expectations, anything that you feel like you would like to share.
So I do feel like as far as the results being returned to the individual, I feel like maybe if the results are going to be returned, to ask them, do they have a preference of how they're returned? So would you prefer email, a phone call, you know, if you will make a phone call, a Zoom meeting, or a text message? I'm just throwing out different forms of communication here, but kind of like a preference, because everybody does not like reading emails. Everybody does not like talking to people on the phone. So I think that kind of asking them what's like their preferred method of results being returned, if they're going to be returned, I think that would be very helpful as well. And I also think that, I think it was very good what, I can't remember who said it earlier, but I think that the results, or the study results, should definitely be returned to the patient, not the caregiver. I do think that they should definitely, just kind of reiterating, I definitely think that, you know, I should have a say so in reading results. And then if I want to share them with others, then I can do so. But yeah, I definitely, the biggest thing is kind of like the communication, just figuring out how you want your results returned to you.
Well, thank you so much. We have learned so much from your insights, and we really appreciate your time and your thoughts.